Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United pod. We made tough work of it, but we're in the hat for the FA Cup semi-finals. I'm your host, TC, and we'll be looking back on Manchester United's hard-fought win against Norwich before looking ahead to the Brighton game coming up in the Premier League and rounding up any other news and transfer rumours. First, though, we're through just Harry Maguire scoring deep into extra time and sending United back to Wembley, which I'm sure will be a blockbuster semi-final with the teams left in the competition. We all expected there to be changes. We discussed it on the pod in the week. And there were, of course, changes with such a quick turnaround. And, of course, we've got Brighton now on Tuesday, just three days after. So Romero came in for De Gea in goal. We expected that one. Diogo Dalot came in to replace Aaron Wan-Bissaka. A little bit surprised with that one, but the coaches and the staff know the levels and fitness levels of the players. If Wan-Bissaka needed a rest, he needed a rest. Eric Bailly came alongside Harry Maguire at centre-back. Over on the left, Luke Shaw kept his place very, very surprisingly indeed. I thought Brandon Williams would come in and start at left-back, but we saw Luke Shaw start again. With the choices at the back, look, I thought Bailly would come back in. Not so sure with putting Dalot next to Bailly. They don't seem like the right partnership over there, which we saw in the game. They're both a bit too gung-ho. Bailly with Wan-Bissaka alongside him, I think looks great, but that's a story for a different day. In midfield, Scott McTominay and Fred came in. Bruno kept his place. Again, surprised Bruno kept his place. I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to put Pogba into the starting lineup, bring Bruno off the bench and do it that way around rather than give Bruno the start and then see how we go. I mean, as we saw in the end, it ended up really running him to the ground. Up front, we had Mata on the right, Lingard on the left, and then Odion Ighalo leading the line. Again, the balance of that one seemed a little bit off. You've got Mata out there on the right. I understand with playing a team that might be a little bit more defensive. Mata looking to pick open defences, that's fine. Ighalo up top, fine too. But then Lingard starting out on the left. I thought we might play Anthony Martial on the left, let him keep his run of form going. It didn't happen. There, of course, we had Pogba, we had Marcus Rashford, we had Martial on the bench amongst another 9. Daniel James didn't make the squad. I don't know exactly why that was. He would have been another good option out there on the left. Actually prefers playing the left to the right, really. And just a little bit of pace up there, because if you've got McTominay and Fred and then Bruno in there, Bruno needs movement off him. He needs people making moves. Ighalo on his own making moves and runs isn't really enough. In terms of the selection, the balance didn't seem quite right to me, I must say. Look, if we were playing against a team that is going to have the lion's share of possession, that midfield does the job for me. Look, McTominay and Fred and Bruno, nice and industrious with a little bit of creativity. But against a team where we're going to have sort of 70% of the possession, I think the balance of that midfield was just a little bit wrong. But we went with it, and it was a sluggish start, really. A bit of a sluggish game. Look, Bailly started with the sort of negative sides of his game. He did that kind of jump dive, didn't he, where he was pushed in the back. Did this sort of weird sort of rabbit leap off the pitch, got a free kick out of it, and then did his thing where he tried to do a bit of skill, clumsily sort of stepped on the ball. Could have been costly again. Look, it was a scruffy first 10 minutes, lots of backward passes, lots of hesitation, lots of extra touches on the ball, the kind of thing that we didn't see against Sheffield United, the kind of thing we're trying to move away from. But we have to make changes. We have to be realistic. The games are coming thick and fast. The key is to get a result in every game. We did get a result. It did come at a little bit of a price, as we'll discuss later. Lingard had a bright couple of moments early on, quick feet into the box, blocked. There wasn't much really going into Odion Ighalo, though. He was moving around a little bit, but no one really picking up his movement, and also no one really running off him. So the defenders have just got Odion Ighalo to worry about. They know everything is out in front of them. They can see everything. And Norwich were in behind after 18 minutes. Real first chance for them. They had the better openings in the first half. They really did. They had the better opening. They didn't have too many shots on target. Well, they in fact had none, and so did we. But they had the better openings from which to create something. It was just the final ball that let them down on the final ball, but one. We did have a chance to break from one of their chances, which opened up for us a little bit. Bruno with a delightful pass. Ighalo just miscontrolled. Can't really blame him there. We also had Fred and McTominay flicking into Ighalo. Just overran that too. We were just starting to tick along and starting to warm up, and then along came that bloody drink break that I hate, and that curbed the momentum once again. After 30 minutes, we had 70% possession. Hadn't done much with it at all. And that was the worry with that team selection. 0 shots on target, 3 corners to 0 in our favour, but not much really happening. 33 minutes, we looked like we might be caught with our pants around our ankles. They broke away and Shaw got back fantastically. Looked like we were opened up at the back on his own, and Luke Shaw motored back to brilliantly save the day, which was superb. But as I say, the better openings were for Norwich, and we were really struggling in the final third, really struggling with that creation. Bruno was trying to make things happen, but again, he lacked the partner in Pogba beside him. He lacked the movement in front of him that makes him the player he is. And we almost blew it. On the 43rd minute, Maguire, superb block. Had a good day, Harry Maguire from Rupp. Best chance of the first half, you have to say. And Maguire really looked like that was flying in the corner. Lingard blasted over just before half-time. And that was that. Ole chose not to use the subs at half-time. Again, a little bit suspect. I thought we might have pulled the trigger. Just bear in mind with these 5 subs, if you make a sub at half-time, that doesn't impact one of your 3 breaks you can do for subs. So you can make, if you want, 1 at half-time, and you can still do another 3 blocks of subs. Ole chose not to go for that as well. Look, we have to bear in mind, he's looking at the bigger picture here. He's looking at, we've just played, we're playing again on the Tuesday. We can't put all our eggs in one basket, but also we had to stay in the cup. Look, we went straight on attack. Fred fed into Bruno. He went for the overhead. Bruno, he was industrious, but he tried things. Didn't really come off for him on the day. He tried an overhead kick and sort of skewed the ball wide. But then a couple of minutes after half-time, another Norwich opening. If they had a bit more quality, we would have been in real trouble. Then we got the breakthrough. 51st minute, ball came in from the left. Shaw drilled it in. Mata inadvertently seemed to hit the ball up in the air. Igalo, brilliant instinct, sort of number 9 finish. 5th for United, scored in every game he started for us now. Scooped the ball with the outside of his foot. High past Krull into the net, and wow, what a relief. That's what we felt, wasn't it? We were thinking, God, we are really toiling here. We don't want to concede a late goal and bomb out the cup, and we definitely don't want extra time either. And we thought, thank God for that. Igalo's done the job again. What we brought him in to do, to give the boys a rest and to score and put us through like he has done in other competitions too. Bruno started pulling the strings a little bit, and then triple change on the 62nd minute. We thought Luke Shaw was coming off. Luke Shaw thought he was coming off. He wanted to rest himself. He started tottering over, and then Ollie said, no. It's Diogo Dalot. We need to get off there. So Brandon Williams came on as right back, which is actually his original position until Ethan Laird came along in the youth setup, and Brandon moved over to left back. So Brandon into right back. We also had Mata and Lingard withdrawn for Greenwood and Rashford. We were going for the kill, effectively. We have Greenwood out on the right, Rashford out on the left, Odion staying through the middle, and then obviously Brandon Williams shoring up the defence over on the right. A couple of minutes later, Odion had a headbutt in the back of the net, in the head from Godfrey, and seemed to be rubbing his head looking for a bit of blood. It was a big old bang. Rashford had a couple of openings. He tried to play in Luke Shaw. He's not shooting so much now, Marcus Rashford. He seemed a little bit gun shy. He seems a little bit of confidence is gone. He needs a goal to just kickstart that Rashford confidence again. His body language, his facial expressions seem a little bit down at the moment. And then on the 70th minute, it looked like Godfrey had cleared a ball out of Manchester United's goal from a Norwich attack. It actually was going just wide, but it looked in real time. He sort of stumbled, and it looked like he'd done a sort of Chicharito Hernandez backward header away from goal, the goal he was going for. It looked like we got away with that. He could have obviously scored if he hadn't stumbled as well. And then the drink break came a little bit later in the 71st minute. Looked like we needed that second goal. It really did. On the 75th minute, unfortunately, Todd Cantwell bent one around Maguire, low past Sergio Romero and into the net. First concede in the FA Cup this year for United. I think Sergio Romero should have done better. I really do. I think I am quite harsh on goalkeepers on the pod, I must admit. But at the same time, it was bending into the keeper and then away. It wasn't an absolute blaster. Look, the one thing I will say is the ball was hidden when it was struck. You know, he was missighted, and then it sort of bent around. But you still expect a top-class keeper to be saving that. Look at it, is his first game back after many months. Oh, I just think he could have kept that one out. But it was a good strike. Maguire thought he should have kept it out as well. And then we were staring down the barrel then, weren't we? 15 minutes to pull a miracle out and go through to the semi-finals without having the extra half an hour. Ole knew that too. Pogba and Matic came on for Fred and McTominay. We were really going for it, so 5 subs on now. Greenwood had a run and shot. Oh, it looked like it blasted it way wide in real time. Then when you look at the replay, it wasn't that far wide. Beautiful run out to the right, cut in like he does. Defenders don't know which way he's going. He can shoot on his right, he can shoot on his left. He uses the lollipop to great effect. People, back in the day used to think the lollipop was a stupid trick, step overs. But if you use it correctly and you don't always do the same thing at the end of it, it can be pretty useful, and Greenwood loves it. So 82nd minute, we saw Sergio Romero do something that David De Gea sort of rarely does, and that's to come out and take a risk on intercepting a cross. It was good keeping, to be fair. Came out and punched away. It was a diving cross intercept, if you like, and Norwich could have been in there. So that was a good bit of keeping. Buendia hit wide. We're in a bit of trouble, actually, in the sort of 84th, 85th minute. We had to rely on Brandon Williams doing an amazing recovery tackle. Really, really fantastic bit of defending from the kid, coming across, using his right foot, coming in from the right side. So we had to sort of reach around. Then on the 88th minute, Tim Closer pulled down Odion Igalo after Bruno had just done a lovely little back heel through. And the red card was shown to Closer. It was totally correct. Look, Igalo was through on goal, ready to win the tie. Beautiful bit of play from Bruno as well. Even in performances where Bruno is not his top level, he still does loads of magic stuff, let's not forget. Obviously, a free kick on the edge of the box. Into the wall. Bruno tried to trick everyone, tried to do the old Ronaldinho style, right under the wall. Hit the wall, and then Luke Shaw dragged wide with a low one. Oh, it was a real shame. 6 minutes injury time. We're piling on the pressure. Odion Igalo had a nice little turn on the 96th. Pogba had a chance, and then Rashford had a chance too. But unfortunately, we were staring down the barrel of another 30 minutes. Exactly what we didn't want. With playing just the other day, playing on the Saturday evening, and we know we're playing Brighton on the Tuesday. We know we need those points in the Premier League, as we'll discuss later with the goings on this week. But extra time, unfortunately, was upon us. Rashford had a shot saved after 4 minutes, and then after 6 minutes, we were really going for it. Look, against 10 men now, remember. Anthony Martial came on for Eric Bailly, so we're sort of going for a front four now. Martial and Odion Igalo up top, Greenwood to the right and Rashford to the left. It's the first time in English football that 6 subs has ever been used, adding more to this farcical season that we've seen. Another bit of history for Manchester United there. On the 14th minute, Pogba had a blaster. Tim Krul was all over the shop. He didn't know what was going on. The ball was moving like hell, to be fair. It really was from Pogba. I must say, Pogba, when he came on, he was really quite conservative with his play. I'm not criticising this at all. And actually, since he's come back, with Bruno alongside him, he's a lot more sort of controlled and conserved, a lot more of a team player, really. And I like his body language since he's come back. I like the way he's sort of using all of his talents, rather than just sort of trying to show that he's the best all the time. And funnily enough, from doing that, he looks a better player. He hasn't been taking loads of pot shots, although Bruno took quite a few, to be fair, yesterday. But Paul Pogba, yeah, he's using all his weapons a lot better over these matches, and it's so much harder to defend against. Look, it might be a little bit that you got Bruno next to you, so the defenders are keeping an eye on Bruno as well as you. You've got a little bit more space. It might be that you trust Bruno a little bit more than the players who was playing alongside in midfield before. Combination of both, or that Pogba's had a good rest and he's really hungry to play football again. Whatever it is, I like the look of it. Rashford popped it into Martial, another good chance. Rashford's been a bit more of a creator, hasn't he? Since he's come back, he's dropping into those holes and Martial's making the moves off him. Although we did have a shot blocked at the end of that extra time first half as well. Still no goal going into the second half of extra time, and we're thinking, oh, this is a disaster here. It really is. Rashford dragged wide, unfortunately shot when Pogba was free. He really could have just squared it back to Pogba. It was beginning to look like pot shot central out there. Bruno got the first yellow card of the game after the 18th minute of extra time. So you're talking 108 minutes, dear me. Harry Maguire had a header saved by Tim Krul after the 22nd minute. It looked like it was going in. And you know what? Tim Krul was having one of those days. You think, oh no, it was sort of Brad Friedel-esque, and Tim Krul's done it to us a few times before. And let's not forget, we're staring down the barrel of the penalty shootout here with a keeper who's renowned for penalty shootouts. Remember Louis van Gaal bringing him on in the World Cup, legendary moment in World Cup history, remember. Don't forget, earlier in the season, Krul's save from Martial and Rashford in the same game. And don't forget, Krul's one of these penalty savers. We got Bruno, who likes his hop and his skip and his jump and wait for the keeper to go. Now, I've studied these penalty takers, Jorginho and Hazard and Bruno Fernandes himself. And keepers bite, keepers go. Tim Krul's not a keeper who will go. Tim Krul is willing to wait. So you've got the possible kryptonite of Bruno. You've got Martial and Rashford, who have both already missed against him at Carrow Road. He's licking his lips. He's waiting for a shootout. All United fans are thinking, we've got to get this done before the shootout or we are toast. Oh, dear me. It was getting nervous out there. It really was. We had Bruno with a great strike, and then we had Bruno tracking back on the 115 minutes, absolutely bombing it back. He's played all but 10 minutes of all our games since we come back. He was too tired to take the corner. He was like, nah, you take it, Marcus. I can't get over there. Just leave it out. And then on the 28th minute of extra time, Pogba in a pocket of space, beautiful little ball. And you have to say, really great movement from Anthony Martial. He comes alive when Bruno gets the ball, when Pogba gets the ball. He knows, he makes the movement and scooped over Martial in Igalo. And then it just dropped. And there were three defenders around it, but the hunger of Harry Maguire, the desperation of Manchester United, left-footed, slid in and popped the ball past Krul and sent us all absolutely potty. Oh, it was a brilliant moment, I must say. We didn't want to do it that way. We really didn't. But it was brilliant to have a last-minute winner again. Harry Maguire posing like a statue, absolutely blooming loving it. Thank God for that. That's all I can say. A shootout in those circumstances, as I've just laid out, would have been just a blooming nightmare. Bruno had a chance, actually, blasted way over after a Martial and Pog link-up. We disappointed Norwich, and we disappointed the BBC by the looks of things as well. They were all very upset in the studio after we burst their bubble. Well, bad luck, guys. Manchester United aren't staying down for long. So, look, in the hat, off to Wembley in the semi-final of the Cup. We've got big teams left in the competition. We've got Sheffield United playing Arsenal. We've got Leicester playing Chelsea, and we've got Newcastle playing Manchester City, with the draw actually taking place at half-time of the Newcastle City game, if you weren't aware of that. So just be careful about that one. But semi-final at Wembley, just what United need to be doing year in, year out. We belong on these stages, and we did get there. In the end, we did huff and we did puff. I mean, you do wonder if we might pay the price on Tuesday. I hope, of course, we will not. We used 6 subs in the end. We ran a few players into the ground. Paul Pogba, of course, came on. He provided a little bit of difference, to be fair. 93% pass success rate when he was on the field. 91.4% in the final third from him individually, this is. 100% dribble, 100% tackle, 2 shots on target and 4 chances created. He looked great. I just wonder whether we should have started with Pogba. He hasn't been racking up the minutes since he's been back. Bruno has. I just wonder whether that should have been the other way around. And also there's an argument coming from some directions that you should start your stronger team in these situations, get the match done by 50 minutes and then make the changes. As it was, you look at the players, you've got 30 minutes extra time. So even the subs that came on, they've still played 30 minutes plus sort of another 20. So they played more than half of football anyway themselves. So you just wonder, there's no right way to do it, is there? I've seen Fergie put out some outrageous teams in the FA Cup, one against Arsenal. I remember very well, I was up in the Stretford end when the team news came out. We couldn't believe it. But with the twins there, De Silva's in midfield and all the rest of it. But you get the job done. Now, look, we got the job done. If we can turn over Brighton on Tuesday, all will be forgotten and everything will be rosy, because we've got a nice break then until the next game. However, if we drop points against Brighton, it's going to be a real hard pill to swallow. It really is. Maguire spoke well after the game. He was not trying to hide any deficiencies. Look, he said, we prepare for these games and it doesn't always go to plan. And we know that from history, even from the real glory days, it doesn't always go to plan. And sometimes you have to get your hands dirty and do things the way you don't want to do them in order to get the result. Ole, much of the same. It just depends of the knock-on effect this may have going in to the Brighton game. Ole actually said that the players that have played 120 minutes and your Brunos, your Shaws and Maguires, they can all play against Brighton. He will obviously assess that I'm not sure it'll be a wise idea to play Bruno from the start again. He looked like he was carrying the minutes towards the end there. His passion was driving him forward, but I think when he got home last night, he would have been absolutely knackered. And I wouldn't mind seeing him maybe drop out the starting lineup. I'm Bruno's biggest fan, so don't think this is because of quality. And put Pogba in to start and see how we go with that, and then bring Bruno on, even from half time if we have to. But just to give him that bit of rest, it looks like he needs. And look, Brighton have actually got a 7-day rest compared to our 3-day turnaround. It's going to make a big difference. They're going to be up for it. They're a team that likes to play a bit of football. They don't just sit like some of the lower clubs. So that's good news for us in terms of if we were to go with just one of Pogba rather than Pogba and Bruno in terms of breaking them down. They've drawn to Leicester and they've beaten Arsenal since they're back. So they're on very good form too. There's no hiding that, away to Leicester with Schmeichel saving a penalty late on as well. And then they beat Arsenal in that game that really wound the Gunners up. So they are going to be a tough task on Tuesday. And after that marathon match, all the expended energy, it's going to be a really, really tricky one. It really is. And there's no hiding place, really. There's no room for mistakes, because up there at the top, look, we've got Leicester now on 55 points. All of us are on 31 games, apart from Wolves on 32. Leicester 55 points, Chelsea on 54. Wolves have now gone above us. They won at the weekend. They're up to 52 points into 5th position. We're down into 6th on 49. We've, of course, got the game in hand. Below us, Tottenham with 45, and now Sheffield United have dropped below Spurs to 44. And then you've got Arsenal 43. So look, Leicester now have come into vision. They're on 55 points. They sit 6 points ahead of us on the same games played. But Wolves have now gone 3 points ahead of us. We've got to take these points against Brighton. We really do. We can't be playing catch-up within 6 games to go. We need to be taking the ball by the horns now, and it's going to be a real struggle. We've struggled at Brighton. We've struggled the last 2 times. We've gone down to the Amex and came away with our tail between our legs. But there's not going to be any fans this time, which is obviously a massive plus point. We've got to go and take those points. One player we're unlikely to see is Angel Gomez. Look, don't know what's going on with this. We're getting very ominously close to the end of the month now when his contract runs out. And he hasn't made the bench once. He didn't make the bench on Saturday, which is a massive surprise and really a telling sign. I don't know if Ole said, look, I'm not going to play you. I'm not going to put you on the bench until you sign, which is a bit of a dangerous game. But Angel Gomez, look, I told Scott that I was hearing that they were getting closer in terms of contract, and for all intents and purposes, they were. It looked like it was dead and buried a few months ago, and then the noises started coming out, positive noises from his camp and from United too. And now it's gone a little bit quiet and it's getting dangerously close. But one thing we know with United is we do deliver to the last minute. We all thought Odion Ighalo was gone back to China, didn't we? And then at the 20th hour, bang, he signs a contract until the end of January. So I'm not letting go of Angel Gomez yet, but it is looking ominously close, especially when you've got a game where you'd expect him at least to be on the bench. But then again, on that bench, we did have a strong lineup and a good variety of fullbacks, centre-backs, midfielders, wingers and strikers. So you just wonder whether, Ole's, of course, going full throttle to try and finish the league as high as possible, get in the FA Cup semi-final. You would have thought Gomez would have at least made the bench in one of these games if he is integral to our plans and if we are going to give him a big contract for someone with such little first-team experience. So that was a real hard one to compute if he is going to stay. But I guess we'll find out in the next few days, won't we? Look, in terms of the lineup, you'd expect David De Gea to come back in. You'd expect Wan-Bissaka to come back in. But he didn't fill himself full of glory. I think Maguire's going to stay. It's a toss-up between Bailly and Lindelof. I'd like to see Bailly and Maguire start to build a partnership personally, but I don't have too much of a problem with Lindelof coming back in there. You'd expect Brandon Williams to come in at left back, although Ole has said Luke Shaw can start despite playing 120 minutes. He looked a bit leggy in the 90-minute period, let alone 120. So I think Brandon Williams will come in, but we'll see. You'd expect Matic to start. He came on, did well again. Then it just comes to those other positions, doesn't it? You've got Fred, you've got McTominay, and then you've got Bruno and you've got Pogba. I really think we should give Bruno a rest. I don't want Bruno to pick up an injury and to put us back to where we blooming started. I think we can get away with playing Pogba. Up top, Martial has got to play, of course, after his hat-trick. You'd expect Mason Greenwood to start on the right, and you'd expect Rashford to start out on the left. The only other possible thing you could do, but that's what I said last game, isn't it? Possibly push Martial out to the left, play Aguero and bring Rashford off. I don't know whether he's still feeling a few of the effects of being a bit rusty, and a little break might help him. But I don't know. We will see. Ollie's a massive, massive fan, of course, of Marcus Rashford. So I'd expect him to start out there on the left. Massive game. We've got to take 3 points from this one. Of course, we play before our rivals, so we can apply a little bit of pressure on this Tuesday fixture and then see if we can start clawing back some of those points, because we are sort of playing at a handicap at the moment. Before we get into the ongoing transfer, the tradition as it is now, to have a little chat about Jadon Sancho. One thing that Ollie said this week, which I didn't like, of course, we had a disastrous event this week that happened. I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm trying to pretend it didn't happen, doing my old internet shutdown like I did in 2012 in terms of certain pages. But Ollie said it's harder to win trophies now and harder to win titles than it was in Sir Alex Ferguson's day. He said, there's 4 or 5 teams that can win the title, blah, blah, blah. I think he's talking nonsense, to be honest with you. I didn't like that at all. First of all, Sir Alex took on all kinds of different challenges. And second of all, I don't think it's true at all. Look, we were one of the two. If it was us and Liverpool or us and City at the top, we'd say, we're the 2 teams going for the title. Since when is anyone anywhere near those two? I mean, it's nonsense. I just don't see the positions in the league switching and 4 or 5 teams challenging for a title. It's just not happening. It's just the same as it used to be. In fact, I think it was harder back in the day. I think there were more teams in the league who would take points off top teams, which is evidenced in the fact that City were able to go a couple of seasons and get 198 points. Liverpool bagged 97 points last season. I don't know how many they're going to bag this season, but that doesn't show a league where the top teams are being hamstrung by, you've got to travel there. They're going to take points off you. People taking points off people all over the shop. I just don't think it's true. I just think we're a worse team and we're not playing as well. So, yeah, I didn't like that at all. I don't think that's a road that we should be going down in terms of Ollie. But I'm happy with his work at the moment. I'm not trying to dig him out and go down that road, but I think it's better just to say less and just to claw our way back, because we haven't even been challenging for second. Haven't even been really challenging for third. So to say that, first of all, don't disrespect Sir Alex, and second of all, just don't talk nonsense, because unfortunately that is a little bit of nonsense. But we move on and we're all together. But I just didn't like that, and it added to an already disastrous week. And a week, of course, like I said when I mentioned the league table, Chelsea actually beat Man City at Stamford Bridge, which was one of the games we were hoping Chelsea would drop points on. Look, Chelsea have got hard games to come. Wolves have got hard games to come. Leicester have got hard games to come as well. And don't forget, we've got Leicester last game of the season. So if we can just be within 2 points of Leicester come the end of the season, then they're gettable. We can turn them over on the last day and qualify. The other thing is 5th might be enough. 5th might be enough for us to qualify for the Champions League if City's ban gets held up in the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So there's and you've also got the Europa League, don't forget. So there's lots of ways we can do it, but we got to do it one way. And the easiest and best way is to get into that top 4, win the FA Cup, and then go all out for the Europa League in August. As I said, Jadon Sancho never leaves the news pages now, as linking him to Manchester United. You've got Liverpool saying they wouldn't mind it, but they don't think it's going to happen. And you've got sources from Germany constantly linking us to Jadon Sancho. Now, Ollie was actually asked by Norwegian news station whether we'd want to sign anyone from Borussia Dortmund. And Ollie was very coy. He said, I'm not very good at maths and blah, blah, blah. And I don't want to discuss players. And he was very coy about it. So he didn't rule it out. We're hearing now that we're going to have to sell players in order to fund it. And the players they're tagging up are sort of the Lingards, your Pereiras, your Smallings and whatnot, which a lot of people wouldn't be sad about at all. It's sort of a double win for many people. But the links to Sancho keep on coming. With the Ole thing, I wouldn't read too much into it. I think, look, Ole, he was given all kinds of hints about Erling Haaland, wasn't he? And we thought for all the world he was on his way to United after what Ole said, and then that all fell through. So I wouldn't tie too much to that. I had a weird dream the other night actually that Erling Haaland played for Wales, so that was a weird one. But yeah. So look, Jadon Sancho still looks on. It looks like we're just going to have to pay King's ransom for him. We won't probably pay as much as we would before lockdown, but we're still going to have to sort of get close to that Pogba price, if not match it. We got Kai Havertz, another one from Germany. Bayer Leverkusen are saying that he could be gone by August. So we're one of the people thrown into the hat. We've seen what extra creativity does with Bruno coming in. Now Bruno and Pogba playing together. One of those goes down injured and we're back to square one again. So you'd think we might look for another creative outlet. Jack Grealish is also being linked. Rumours he's told friends that he's found a house up in the northwest. I've watched him play a little bit since the return. I don't know how much his level will go up in a good team. He looks still a little level below what we should really be looking for, but he's still there in the mix. As it stands, we don't even know when the transfer window is going to open, so let's not get ahead of ourselves. But still good noises. Look, we've done well in the transfer window recently. Things are starting to go in a good direction. I just hope all those minutes hasn't sucked it out of us going into Tuesday. Thanks for joining me again today. I should have Scott back alongside me in the next few days. Remember to subscribe, review, and rate the 100% United pod wherever you get your podcasts. Follow at United100 Podcast on Instagram too. If you have a question or alternative angle to discuss, you can Instagram message or email united100podcast@gmail.com. We'll be back after the Brighton game. Until then, take care and cheerio, Reds. We're on our way to Wembley again.